Hi, I wanted to talk about book editions for a minute. I've had some questions. So if you are looking at the book list for the 2022-2023 academic school year, you'll notice that we put in ISBN numbers for books for each of the different classes. And you might be wondering, if you look at some of those, it's a brand new book or it's come out recently and it's very expensive, like could you supplement with an older edition, which would be more cost effective for your family? And I completely understand that, and you and I think the same if you're thinking that. So I wanted to just take a few minutes to talk about that so there would be some clarity. So first I want to say, if you have a student in high school, I would not get a different book, and high school is going to be our rhetoric program, unless you've spoken to the instructor for that class to make sure it works. The edition that you get has been picked and the syllabus has been created off of that edition. And so, in fact, I know for even one of our English classes, the instructor asked if they could purchase the books and students could pay them because they wanted to have the exact same layout of the book so that they can say page numbers and work through it together, and it's just easier in class. So the rhetoric level has a little bit of a more structured, more strict, more rigid way of handling the textbooks. And so if you were to see, for instance, the chemistry, we're using the second edition. It's actually the older one. It's more affordable, and not the third edition. The third edition has a different writer, a different order. And so it's not as easy to go between the editions in the rhetoric level for most classes. So if you had a question, if you saw a book that was a good price, but it was a different edition, I would say check in with the rhetoric instructor before you purchase that, to make sure you're not purchasing two books. But as you go in the younger program, there is a little bit more flexibility in the editions that you buy. And so I was looking, our family has to purchase for the Logic 1 class, the Rainbow Curriculum for Science. And this is the edition you can get on like thrift books or eBay for not very much money, like $5, I think. Whereas this book, which is the one that we have linked, is quite a bit more. You can see they're different covers, obviously, but even the amount of material that is covered looks seemingly different. And so I bought them just to see, like, could we as a family go with an older edition? Could we as a school, like, why are we choosing the newer edition? And the second edition was printed it was printed in 2018, whereas the older one that is more affordable was in 1998. And I just couldn't help but think that, unlike the Bible, much in science changes, and they probably have discovered things since 1998 that would be a little bit different. And so as the Academy, we really want to have the new discoveries and the things that they're talking about current. And so we at the Academy are going to use this book in class. Can you as a family opt for this book? That's going to be a choice that you have to make. I looked at a lot of them. The chapters are in the same order. This book is quite a bit heavier. The paper is heavier, to be honest with you. That might be part of it. But I did notice in some of the sections there was extended information in this version. I checked several chapters. I didn't notice anything that would make this book impossible to use at home, although you might not have all of the current up-to-date information if you were to choose to go that route. And there might be things that are brought up in class that your student wouldn't have read because it's in this. Maybe they added a paragraph to chapter 14 and that paragraph's not in here. And so those are decisions you have to make. The one thing about purchasing the newer edition, besides the fact that it's more current and has heavier pages, is that this is the book that you are using for 2 years. So the kids that start this, we will finish this. We will do this in Logic 1 and then Logic 2. So it is one textbook, and then hopefully you'll be able to curriculum swap it with the groups coming in after you. Hopefully we'll love it. It seems like we will. We watched a lot of reviews, and it's made basically for a one-day experiment type thing with very doable reading during the week. But like I said, that is a choice that you would have to make. Would we say you absolutely have to purchase this and you couldn't use this? No, like the reading is here. It's just that there is going to be a slight disadvantage to that. The other example I have, but I just didn't bring it up here, is history. So for those who are in the K through 6, the grammar portion, you have a history curriculum that you've been asked to purchase. Well, that was just reprinted recently, and that's the one we linked because that one works just better the way it's printed for our Academy, in which all of the activities have been extrapolated out into their own resource, and the book itself is just the reading material that you as a family need to do. Does that mean that you can't buy the older edition, which is going to be quite a bit more affordable? No, it doesn't. I've, again, bought both of those and looked, and the reading sections are very similar. Now, we're going back to ancient history. Not much has changed. What they did as a publisher is they decided to print a book that is full color, is hardback, and is just the reading material. So you could get your history book out and just read it. Whereas the older editions have all of the possible activities and projects. So there's a lot of extra in that book, which some people might say, good, I want that extra. I'm going to do more than Aletheia does. And other people might kind of think, oh, it's a bit much. I'm getting lost in all of the details. It's preference. I checked again. My daughter and I read chapters simultaneously to see if there were any differences. And in the few chapters I checked, did not notice anything besides maybe a sentence or two that clarified something. So that's your choice. As an academy, we're saying we're using the newer edition. That's what we're going to have in class. That's what it's going to be used. But as a family, when you're looking at how do I make this work, you have to choose that. And so again, just to recap, I would recommend high school the rhetoric program, contact your instructors before you decide to change the book that you're going to purchase. But if you're in a younger program and you realize that there will be things that maybe are out of order, maybe you have to work a little bit harder, like with IEW, I didn't check the older editions that we're using, but I have purchased as a family the older editions. And so the bummer for me was that sometimes I didn't have the same source text as was used in class, or I had to print things online, or we had to do things a little bit different. And that was a choice we made, and I would make again because we saved money in that. But it didn't mean more work. So it's time or money, right? So the academy, the syllabus, everything is going to be printed off of the editions that we put in the list. But you as a family can decide what you want to do with that. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out. And